What if I told you that a Mercedes-Benz literally flipped over at just 37 miles per hour, or that a Toyota RAV4 nearly killed its test driver? The Moose test exposes which cars will save your life and which ones will end it. We've analyzed the data on 14 vehicles that spectacularly failed this crucial safety test, and the results will shock you. Before we dive into the fails, here's why the Moose test matters. Hitting a Moose can be deadly. Its massive body crushes the roof and windshield, putting lives at serious risk. The test simulates swerving around a sudden obstacle like a moose, a child, or another car, then quickly getting back in your lane without losing control. Fail it, and things get really dangerous in the real world. Starting our countdown at number 14 is Volvo C40 Twin Motor 2022. The Volvo C40 totally let us down in the Moose test, struggling at just 53 to 56 miles per hour, which is pretty shocking from a brand known for safety. Even with grippy Pirelli P0 tires and a twin motor setup, it understeered hard and just wouldn't turn in time, sliding wide past the cones. Number 13. Kia Sportage Plug-in Hybrid 2023. The Kia Sportage Plug-in Hybrid delivered one of the most chaotic Moose test performances ever recorded. On its first run at 30 miles per hour, the SUV was completely out of control, striking cones in every part of the emergency lane change course. By the end, it bounced its rear end into a small army of cones like a pinball machine gone wrong. Stability wasn't the problem. Control was. The Sportage stayed upright, but simply couldn't stay between the lines no matter what the driver tried. Even at lower speeds, massive understeer kicked in halfway through the swerve, wiping out more cones as the driver desperately tried to wrestle it back on course. Number 12. 2007 Ford Ranger. The older Ford Ranger struggled to stay composed even under 27 miles per hour, showing just how far safety technology has advanced in recent years. Despite its torsion bar front suspension, a setup meant to help with load balance and stability, the Ranger flopped the handling test with alarming ease. It swerved wide, scattered cones like bowling pins, and showed poor control during sudden direction changes. This wasn't just a bump in the road performance. In an actual emergency, like avoiding a deer or reckless driver, the Ranger's sloppy response could lead straight to a ditch or collision. Number 11. Jeep Wrangler 2019. The Jeep Wrangler's Moose test performance was predictably poor, but still concerning for such a popular vehicle. With its ladder frame, live axles, and serious ground clearance, it's a throwback to old-school 4x4s that prioritizes rock crawling over road manners. At 29 miles per hour, the Wrangler charged into the course, but couldn't hold its line, clipping cones and wobbling hard as it struggled to recover. The chunky off-road tires had barely any grip on tarmac, while the slow steering rack meant the little SUV was always late to react. Number 10. Nissan Kicks 2018. The Nissan Kicks delivered one of the most terrifying Moose test performances ever recorded. During testing, the compact crossover nearly tipped over at just 25 miles per hour, with footage showing the body leaning so hard it looked ready to roll completely. You could see the test driver's face tighten, not from speed, but from genuine fear as the car leaned like a sailboat in rough seas, barely clinging to the pavement. Here's the shocking twist. Not all Kicks are created equal. In markets like Mexico, some versions don't come with electronic stability program at all, and that's the version that was tested. Without ESP, the Kicks struggled desperately to stay upright. But with it, the car completed the maneuver cleanly. A massive difference that could mean life or death. Number 9. Toyota Hilux 2016. The Hilux might be one of Toyota's toughest models, but it only takes a moose to bring it to its knees. Built on nearly 5 decades of rugged reputation, the 8th generation Hilux was supposed to be unstoppable. But when Swedish testers threw it into the Moose test, things got dangerously wobbly. At just 23 miles per hour, the Hilux swerved and nearly tipped over completely, while its rivals handled the same test at much higher speeds with no drama. Despite having electronic stability control as standard, something was seriously wrong. Number 8. 2015 Ford Focus. The Ford Focus from 2015 showed concerning behavior during emergency maneuvers, struggling with stability and control when quick reactions were needed most. The compact car exhibited poor body control and inadequate electronic intervention during sudden direction changes. Despite being a mainstream family car that millions relied on for daily transportation, the Focus couldn't maintain composure when faced with emergency situations. The suspension setup and tire combination proved insufficient for maintaining stability during the rapid swerve and recovery sequence. Number 7. Porsche Macan 2014. Here's where things get truly shocking. A Porsche SUV that completely embarrassed itself in the Moose test. The Macan's performance was so poor that it didn't just fail. It repeatedly skidded off course, causing the vehicle to potentially run off the road or into oncoming traffic. Testers ran the test multiple times, even removing excess weight from the vehicle, but each attempt ended in spectacular failure. The problem lay with the Macan's faulty active rollover protection system. Number 6. Mercedes-Benz CLA 2019. The Mercedes-Benz CLA's Moose test failure was a masterclass in how not to handle emergency situations. The compact luxury sedan failed spectacularly at speeds of just 29 miles per hour, with the car essentially being all over the place during testing. It took multiple attempts, 3 different professional drivers, and dropping the speed to just 25 miles per hour before it could barely complete the test. And even then, testers remarked, the result was subpar at best, and potentially fatal at worst. The combination of moderate body roll, insufficient grip on the front tires, persistent understeer, and an electronic stability control system that kicked in at random times made the CLA a rolling disaster. Number 5. Ford Mustang Mach-E 2021. The electric Mustang's failure was, honestly, particularly disappointing and even dangerous. At speeds above 26 miles per hour, it just couldn't maintain control, with the all-wheel drive long-range model suffering from severe understeer, followed by sudden oversteer. When 4 electric crossovers were tested together, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Tesla Model Y, and Mach-E, only the Ford lost control completely. The Model Y passed cleanly at 29 miles per hour, while the Mach-E struggled dangerously at just 26. The electronic stability control reacted way too slowly, allowing the situation to deteriorate before finally intervening. Number 4. BMW M4 Competition 2021. This is where things get truly shocking and, honestly, a bit embarrassing. BMW's M division is known for building legendary performance machines, but the M4 competition really humiliated itself in the Moose test with some dangerous and unpredictable behavior. Instead of the controlled understeer you'd expect from most modern cars, the M4 snapped into aggressive oversteer at the worst possible moment, catching even professional test drivers off guard. It barely completed the test at just 29 miles per hour. Absolutely pathetic for a car with this much power, prestige, and price. After the first swerve, it struggled with whiplash corrections, smacking cones throughout the course like it was a novice driver's first track day. Number 3. Jeep Grand Cherokee 2012. The Grand Cherokee's Moose test results were so dangerous that Swedish testers actually called Jeep engineers to witness the shocking failure firsthand. At just 24 miles per hour, it lifted its inside wheels completely off the ground, and pushing it just a bit faster to 25 miles per hour caused it to roll over entirely. There were no successful runs at speeds over 27 miles per hour, with testers noting that both the electronic stability control and rollover mitigation systems just failed to work as intended. During testing, the Grand Cherokee bounced around uncontrollably, burst tires, and hit cones with its rear wheels. For a family SUV trusted by millions, this performance was absolutely terrifying and potentially lethal in real-world emergency situations. Number 2. Toyota RAV4, 2019 and 2020. The RAV4's failures were so dangerous, they actually made international headlines and forced Toyota into emergency action. The 2019 model showed dangerous behavior during testing, leaning so far that it lifted wheels off the ground at just 26 miles per hour. Swedish testers called it a disaster waiting to happen for a family SUV. The 2020 RAV4 Prime plug-in hybrid was even worse. At just 24 miles per hour, it darted into the turn, understeered violently, and then the rear snapped out aggressively, slamming into multiple cones. The suspension bounced and destabilized the SUV even further, with the front tire rolling so hard, it nearly peeled off the rim. Number 1. Mercedes-Benz A-Class 1997. The absolute worst Moose test failure in automotive history belongs to the 1997 Mercedes-Benz A-Class, a catastrophe that, honestly, changed the entire automotive industry forever. At just 23 miles per hour, which is slower than most city driving, the A-Class didn't just slide or skid, it completely flipped over in spectacular fashion. The footage went as viral as anything could in 1997, with media worldwide roasting Mercedes and the public losing all confidence in the brand. But Mercedes' response was, pretty remarkable. They recalled every car, paused production, and completely re-engineered everything from suspension to chassis. Then they made electronic stability